completely hands-free. It reverses. It'll go from my garage to my destination. It still can't park completely, but it'll go all the way very close to parking.
Nitesh Mehta has been using Tesla's full self-driving Supervised for about 3 years. He recently received version 13, which was released in December and brought several new features and improvements.
Now it has to figure out what to do. I don't know if it can't make this. So he just gave me the wave to go. So you can kind of get a sense that it's interacting with the physical world.
FSD Supervised is a partially automated driving system that uses a series of cameras and software to navigate. Tesla hopes to upgrade it to turn existing cars into robotaxis. For now, it requires a human at the wheel, ready to steer or brake at all times.
Tesla's manual says owners must keep their hands on the wheel while using FSD, but many drivers ignore that direction.
Tesla's automation features were in the spotlight lately as YouTubers put them to the test. First, with a controversial video testing autopilot.
Tesla's optical camera system would absolutely smash through a fake wall.
And a similar test with full self-driving Supervised engaged.
Does not see the wall.
With each run, I had to slam the brakes.
Definitely sees the wall.
For months, CNBC has been riding along with Tesla owners who use FSD Supervised to see how the software has evolved over time.
This is very comfortable driving, right? Like, it's doing a very good job.
It's very sophisticated.
But it wasn't always this way.
A year ago, no one in my family, if I was driving with someone else, they refused to be in the car with me if I had full self-driving. Now they don't care one way or the other.
And despite the improvements, it still makes mistakes.
So the rear wheel just went over a curb. Now, I've never seen previous versions of FSD drive over a curb.
It will often work really well, particularly in daytime conditions, but then just randomly in a scenario where it did fine previously, it will fail, and fail in very unpredictable and often very dangerous ways.
It definitely has a way to go, but the fact that it's able to go from where it was 3 years ago to today is insane.
On October 10th, Tesla unveiled a dedicated Robotaxi dubbed the Cybercab and promoted a future where cars drive themselves.
With autonomy, you get your time back. It'll save lives, like a lot of lives. I think we'll see autonomous cars become 10 times safer than a human.
He's been promising full automation being, 6 months to a year away for over 9 years now. It's been consistently over-promising and under-delivering.
While Tesla's approach to driverless tech has inspired some,
no one is coming close to Tesla's full self-driving.
It has alarmed others.
There has just been a litany of preventable injuries and deaths.
Tesla's reputation has taken a beating lately with a global slowdown in sales, protests around the country, and a volatile stock. With Elon Musk's incendiary political rhetoric and his work with the Trump administration, many people who were once Tesla owners or prospective customers have lost interest in the brand. But Elon Musk continues to bet it all on automation.
This is not some far-off, mythical situation. It's literally 5-6 months away.
As full self-driving matures, could we finally see Musk's driverless dreams realized?
My number one recommendation for anyone who doubts is simply try it. The only people who are skeptical are those who have not tried it.
FSD is now part of my daily life.
It does lots of things amazingly well, but the times that it trips up, you could kill somebody, or you could hurt yourself.
Tesla first released Autopilot nearly 10 years ago, and it now offers its standard on all of its vehicles. In 2020, it released Full Self-Driving Beta, which brought more automation capabilities, and in 2024, changed the name to Full Self-Driving Supervised.
full self-driving. That has additional capabilities and features like being able to stop at stop signs and traffic lights, red lights, and also make turns and navigate you to your destination.
SAE International developed a levels of automation standard. In government correspondence and legal filings, Tesla has referred to its FSD system as a Level 2 partially automated driving system, requiring the driver to be attentive and ready to take over.
The marketing of some of these systems can often imply that they're more capable of driving than they might actually be.
They cannot actually drive themselves, and any safety attributed to them is there because the human driver is catching all the mistakes. Without a human driver, they're completely unsafe.
At the end of the day, I'm responsible, right? If something happened now, it is my fault.
Since 2013, Musk has promoted the idea that one day, with a software upgrade, Tesla's EVs will be able to function as robotaxis. Musk says FSD is a generalized solution, meaning it will eventually be able to drive anywhere in the world. Tesla collects data and feedback from owners using FSD on public roads.
We have millions of cars that are training on driving. With that amount of training data, it's obviously going to be much better than what a human could be.
The company typically pushes updated versions of the software to its vehicles in waves, starting with employees, then expanding to more owners. Currently, only vehicles manufactured in 2023 and on with its hardware 4 self-driving computer are able to get the latest FSD version 13, which is available for purchase for $8,000 or as a subscription for $100 a month.
Part of what's aggravating about the way Tesla does this is that it's not clear if or when your vehicle will receive the most recent update.
In a series of posts on X, Tesla outlined a variety of tests it puts every FSD release through to gauge its performance with difficult traffic scenarios. The company says the track tests are one of more than 10 different validation methods for FSD. Tesla changed its approach to self-driving technology in 2024, adopting what's known as end-to-end machine learning and replacing its prior FSD software.
This is the first version where it is near end-to-end AI doing it, right? Because previously it was like hand code versus AI combination of working on it. So I think one of the big differences with 13 is mostly AI doing the work.
Tesla's dedicated Robotaxi, unveiled in October, was reportedly running on version 13.
This car runs on B13, which obviously is now going wide to the larger public.
It's a 2-seater, it's compact but it's spacious. They have a lot of legroom. The ride itself, now that I have FSD 13, it's exactly the same.
That was in a very controlled environment. They'd spent who knows how much time training the vehicles on that particular course. There was no traffic, none of the normal types of things that you're going to see in a real-world environment.
Tesla says FSD is able to drive itself almost anywhere with minimal driver intervention and will continuously improve. FSD upgrades can bring new features and fluctuations in quality.
I got my Tesla in 2021. It was $5,000 for Tesla's full self-driving. At the time, the full self-driving was just more of the highway driving. Very polished. I loved it.
A little over a year ago or a year and a half ago, they introduced city streets. And when they introduced it, it was not working well. I mean, you'd be sweating. And then with FSD 12, it's gotten better on the city streets than it is on the highway. So it's flipped.
The experience I can almost see, let's think about you have a baby like 3-month-old and you see them growing from 3 months to 9 months and 10 months. And I kind of see that growth experience.
CNBC experienced early versions of Tesla's version 12 software last summer.
You can see here how it stopped and stopped again, stopped at the crosswalk, right? Advanced just like a driver would to look. And then when it saw there was traffic coming in its second take, it stopped again. Very, very human behavior to it.
Guy Mangiamele, a professional test driver for AMCI testing, has reviewed several versions of Tesla's FSD. He says he's seen improvements, but the system is still making errors that could be deadly or injurious.
A lot of traffic, it's going to wait for the light. So, see, now that was bad. I had to intervene there. See, so it would have hit that motorcyclist.
It's just so smooth that it drives like a professional driver would. You know, you would almost get a stomach ache before driving in full self-driving because it was jerky.
Drivers said FSD performed well in many scenarios.
Oh, this is interesting. So the road is closed. So let's see what it does. It's going to make us turn right when it wanted to turn left. It's signaling left. Right turn only. It's going to do it. It's still signaling left, however. It did comply. That's something that I think would not have done in the past. Construction zones often were problematic.
You know, the car, what's interesting is the car has to be at times sort of assertive. There are moments in time where you just have to, as you know, as a driver too, you have to be the first one to act. And I've been surprised when the car does that.
On our ride with Mangia Mele, it still managed to navigate with ease, transitioning to an unmarked dirt road.
Well, let's see what it does. Let's see how it does on a unmarked dirt road like this. I've never had this occur. It doesn't seem to require the markings. Steering around the bush in the road.
But version 13 still struggled with an issue it did on a previous ride.
And look, it wants to go left, but it can't. It can't turn there. No. So you see, it's not looking at it. It sees that there's bicycle rack, there's all kinds of stuff there. So I'm glad we verified that that still doesn't work.
And at one point, FSD alerted us to take over control when we experienced a dramatic lighting change.
And the hazards. Okay, I've taken over. What was the problem? That may have been from going from direct sun into shade. When we made that turn.
If I'm driving in sunset or around that time, there's a sort of way the sunlight comes in. I think hits the camera and it blinds it. That's the couple times where I've taken over.
It fails in unpredictable and inconsistent ways like that make it more dangerous.
Bieberheat Halder, who drives a Model S with hardware 3, the previous generation FSD computer, took us on a drive with the latest version he's received.
This is a 2022 car. It has a 12.6. And that's the latest you can get on hardware 3.
While Tesla hasn't released its most advanced software to these owners, he still observed improvements in how FSD drives.
One of the noticeable differences that is started to drive like human. Everything got in significantly better. I haven't touched the steering wheel at all. It is doing a monitoring now. So as long as I'm looking straight, I'm attentive, my eyes are open, I'm not looking around, then it is going to be okay if I don't touch the steering wheel.
For fans of the technology, they're optimistic it will get better.
It's still quite not there yet, but it is a lot closer. It feels like it is happening. It is going to happen soon. I just don't know what the definition of the soon is.
I'm so curious to see what the future is going to hold in 5 years, because if they can do this much in 3 years, I can't imagine what they can do in the next 5 years or so.
Tesla's full self-driving and driver assist systems have been fraught with controversy.
The kinds of crashes we see have a lot to do with the driver not really paying attention and the driver monitor not enforcing attention as much as it should. We certainly see a lot of those with Tesla.
There's a lot more research coming out showing that people tend to do stuff that they're not supposed to be doing as they get familiar using these partially automated systems.
Tesla has not prioritized having an adequate driver monitoring system. This ensures that the driver is awake and generally looking towards the forward roadway while they're using this system.
It's quite easy to fool the Tesla driver monitoring system, and it's been historically very permissive to let drivers not really pay a lot of attention while it's operating. And we've seen fatalities because of this.
We know that there have been deaths, and we know that there have been hundreds of injury events, and it's incredibly underreported.
Tesla's partially automated driving systems have also been the subject of numerous lawsuits.
Brett Schreiber is representing plaintiffs in 4 separate lawsuits against Tesla. The suits allege that Autopilot and FSD are defective and unsafe and contributed to fatalities and catastrophic injury.
Tesla's driver assist systems have also been the topic of federal investigations.
In every case that I have handled and am handling currently, the driver has believed the narrative. In one of my cases involving a young 15-year-old boy who lost his life when his parents' vehicle was struck by a Tesla operating on full self-driving, the driver was a Tesla employee. He fundamentally believed that the vehicle was safer than a human driver. He has testified under oath in that regard.
Tesla's marketing was challenged in Europe, forcing it to change the name. In the United States, it added Supervised to the name. In China, Tesla renamed FSD to Intelligent Assisted Driving.
Some of the naming of these technologies or their functionalities can be confusing. A lot of people are struggling to understand what these systems can and cannot do.
A report from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Office of Defects Investigation highlighted several instances in which Tesla, despite emphasizing its vehicles are not autonomous and require the driver to remain in full control, have reposted or endorsed postings on the social media platform X, where drivers exhibit disengaged behavior. Adding, "These posts show lost opportunities to temper enthusiasm for a new product with cautions on its proper use with the points that Tesla has made to us."
And then when they get sued over it, the entire defense is, but you see on the 92nd page of the 122-page owner's manual that is 9 screens in on the user interface, we have a disclaimer. Where we say is, you can't shout the claim and whisper the disclaimer.
Tesla has responded in the past to lawsuits that alleged its systems were flawed and caused fatal or injurious crashes by saying that the driver's own negligent acts and/or omissions were to blame for collisions, and that reliance on any representation made by Tesla, if any, was not a substantial factor in causing harm to drivers or passengers. Experts have also criticized Tesla for putting what they describe as experimental software in the hands of untrained consumers.
They use our public roadways and they use members of the public as the guinea pigs for their research and development.
Putting experimental software into the hands of average consumers that are not trained in how to properly evaluate it, I think is dangerous.
I think that beta testing by retail customers should be completely banned on public roads.
Tesla did not respond to CNBC's multiple requests for comment. For FSD users, a point of concern has been compatibility with older hardware. Since 2016, Tesla has said all its vehicles built going forward have the hardware to enable self-driving. But during Tesla's 2024 Q4 earnings call, Musk conceded that Hardware 3, a previous generation of its FSD computer, might not be capable of unsupervised full self-driving, and said it would offer free upgrades for customers who bought FSD on vehicles made before 2023.
We're going to have to upgrade people's Hardware 3 computer for those that have bought full self-driving, and that's going to be painful and difficult, but we'll get it done.
The version 4 compute hardware is pretty substantially different. It's a lot more work to upgrade from version 3 to version 4, and it's going to be very costly for Tesla. Many of the vehicles that he promised level 5 self-driving on will not ever be able to do that.
And perhaps most important when it comes to this technology, safety. Tesla has argued its Autopilot and FSD software will improve safety.
We're looking for a safety level that is significantly above the average human driver. The standard has to be very high because the moment there's any kind of accident with an autonomous car, this immediately gets worldwide headlines.
We have yet to see clear indications that it has any safety benefit above and beyond those safety features like AEB or blind spot detection or lane departure prevention.
While we are flawed as human drivers, we are actually pretty good at this incredibly complex task. We can drive 500,000 miles without crashing. It's pretty hard to beat that.
In April of 2023, Tesla published its impact report for 2022 featuring safety numbers related to FSD. But experts have challenged the data.
The year they're reporting for, 2022, for the bulk of that year, only drivers who had a high safety score were allowed to even use FSD. So you're just kind of filtering out your most dangerous drivers. And so I was really excited when the next safety report came out covering 2023 to see, once you had everybody in there, what's it look like? And of course, they didn't cover FSD data that year.
For more accurate safety data, Goodall advocates for more transparency from all automakers and more involvement from regulators.
NHTSA has a massive regulatory power that they don't exercise very often. I don't know why. They have the ability to get a lot of this data.
Tesla has the most sophisticated telematics out of any automaker on the market right now. Because there's no federal requirement for automakers to report what was happening in the event of a crash, it gets really difficult to understand what really is going on with crashes where these systems have been implicated.
Tesla already does quite well at this supervised self-driving. I'm sure there's people in the crowd, you're using that, yeah? So we'll move from supervised full self-driving to unsupervised full self-driving, where the car, you could fall asleep and wake up at your destination.
On Tesla's 2024 fourth quarter earnings call, Musk reiterated his expectation that unsupervised full self-driving would be ready this year and indicated its initial fleet-owned launch will start small as it works to refine its operations.
We just want to put a toe in the water, make sure everything is okay, then put a few more toes in the water, then put a foot in the water with safety of the general public and those in the car as our top priority.
With service expanding to other regions by the end of the year.
So I'm very confident we'll have released unsupervised full self-driving, fully autonomous Teslas in Austin and several other cities in America by the end of this year, probably everywhere in America next year, and everywhere in North America at least. I think in terms of next year, our constraint, I think it's likely to be just regulatory.
And added that Tesla owners will be able to add their own vehicles to the Robotaxi fleet next year.
The idea of putting this system out as a robotaxi without safety drivers is extremely dangerous. I've seen no evidence that this is anywhere close to being ready to be used in an unsupervised form.
The company has started testing its dedicated robotaxi, the Cybercab, in Texas, according to Tesla's design leader, Franz von Holzhausen. Texas regulation of autonomous vehicles is far more lax than in other states.
California is quite a long regulatory approval process. Texas is a lot faster, so we'll definitely have available in Texas.
Tesla also recently attained the first in a series of permits it will eventually need to start a driverless ride-hail service in California.
California, that's probably going to be the toughest place for them to get approval to operate their vehicles. Texas, there's effectively no real regulation on robotaxis there, so it makes it very easy for Tesla to go in and start there.
Tesla recently showed off the way it uses FSD within the confines of its own property to move fully assembled vehicles from the factory to a delivery lot.
The cars are actually programmed with what lane they need to park into to be picked up for delivery.
There is little to no federal regulation for autonomous vehicles.
We have to take a driving test and prove that we actually know how to operate a vehicle. We have none of that in the United States for automated driving systems. We need to develop some motor vehicle safety standards for automated driving systems. At a minimum, do the equivalent of a human driving test. Ideally, go well beyond that.
We all kind of thought NHTSA would really step up and take over. And instead, I think a lot of the states have been kind of doing stuff that they feel like NHTSA should do.
Meanwhile, Waymo launched fully autonomous cabs in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Austin, and Phoenix, with more cities coming soon. Until Tesla has autonomous vehicles that are safe to use without a driver at the wheel, safety experts would like to see better safeguards put in place.
We're terrible being a passive supervisor, just watching and waiting to intervene. It's much better for these safeguards to keep you actively engaged in the driving, because that also helps you use the technology more appropriately.
But with Musk's deadlines looming, Tesla will be under pressure to deliver.
The first 90% of the problem takes 10% of the effort, and the last 10% takes 90% of the effort. My guess is that if they launch something in June, it will not be driverless. It will have safety drivers on board.
We have been extremely skeptical about the ability to do what Tesla's engineers set out to do using only cameras. They have come very, very far. But is there a long way to go? Absolutely.
When people look back on 2025 and the launch, I think they may regard it as the biggest year in Tesla history.